I felt it was more than just a missing person or an adult walk-away, as some people refer to the older people that go missing.
Allison's family expressed to me that she would never leave her children, irregardless of any kind of marital situation or any kind of other situation. So we knew that that was a primary concern for them.
Just the facts of who she was, the fact that she was not only a wife but a mother and an employed person, and the circumstances of her disappearance raised a lot of concerns to me.
I think we were probably in the first 2 months, and we start prepping the family. We might need to locate dental records just to have them, but we don't try to alarm them with that statement. I said, well, let's go ahead and get some posters and this, that, and the other, and we'll get out there and start, hitting the streets. I said, however, if we're here a month from now, and I remember her stopping before she got in the vehicle and looking at me and like, oh my God, a month from now, I can't do this another day.
I thought right off the bat that we needed to look a little bit deeper and a little bit faster than the way we had been looking.
This is the spot off Carolina Beach Road where on April 26, a passerby discovered the bones of two women who went missing almost a year apart. The discovery sparked an investigation that almost 10 months later remains unsolved.
Well, I want to say that the bones was the biggest thing. In April of last year, we found two sets of remains. And, still here again, you cut through the woods. Hundreds of people cut through those woods all the time. Wouldn't have thought anything about it because, I don't know. I don't know how all of a sudden they were discoverable, but, they were, and this one individual discovered the bones. And the police department went there and collected and excavated the site and, sent the bones off for analysis. Well, right then and there, I just had all ideas that we were going to find Allison.
But several items were seized at the scene. At that point, the remains were taken to the ME's office in Chapel Hill. I delivered them. Later, at some point later, the identities of the bones were forwarded to us by Dr. Butts.
What police do know is with the help of DNA testing, they were able to confirm that the bones are that of Allison Jackson Foy, a 34-year-old mother who disappeared in the summer of 2006, and Angela Nobles Rothen, a 42-year-old mother who grew up in Leland and disappeared in the spring of 2007. Now, how those two women arrived at this point, murdered, remains a mystery. But what police do know is that both women died at knife point. Jackson Foy was stabbed numerous times, and Angela Nobles Rothen had her throat cut.
We had a pretty good idea that one of the bodies was actually the body of Angie Nobles Rothen, based on some physical characteristics and items found. So we proceeded with on the idea that it was Angie. And proceeded in that fashion in trying to do an investigation rather than sit around for God knows how long and do nothing. We went ahead and started an investigation on the idea it was her. It was later confirmed that the other body was that of Allison Foy, who we also thought was with Rothen in the wooded area. Both appeared to have expired from stab wounds.
They also know that in addition to disappearing almost a year apart, Jackson Foy disappeared from the Junction Pub and Billiards in the summer of 2006. She was last seen outside and was said to have left in a cab.
They were following up leads that they had heard that she had been in several different locations. And I followed down those same leads. I went to Carolina Beach. I went to the inner city of Wilmington, interviewed numerous people, and literally found nothing. She did not disappear off the streets of downtown Wilmington or Carolina Beach. She disappeared that night from Junction Pub and Billiards on Carolina Beach Road.
Nobles Rothen was last seen at a family gathering in Leland about 11 months later in June of 2007. Now the case took another turn in September when the family of Allison Jackson Foy came here a place they had visited numerous times to leave flowers on Jackson Foy's grave. At that point, they found additional bones, 5 small bones that police say fit with the original discovery. On April 23rd, Wilmington police announced that DNA testing had found the additional bones found in September are that of Jackson Foy.
I would think that there's some decisions that are going to be made with the conclusion of, or the resolution of some of this evidence that's still out there.
One of those leads led police to search the home of 47-year-old Tim Iannone.
Susan Iannone, I had met Susan at Junction Pub and Billiards and even interviewed her briefly, and she knew who Allison was. She acted as if they were some type of an acquaintance. Through my radio program, Blue Line Radio, Susan Iannone reached out and sent me an email through Blue Line, and she asked me, or she made a statement that everybody in the pub was talking about that her husband had something to do with Allison's disappearance, and she wanted to know why. And that was curious to me, because had everyone been talking about it at Junction Pub and Billiards with $10,000 reward signs in front of them, it seems like myself, Monica Cason, or law enforcement would have known about it. But it wasn't. And so I contacted her, as she asked me to do, and she told me that her husband had been arrested for allegedly kidnapping and assaulting and raping a prostitute. And, of course, bells and whistles started going off.
A prostitute by the name of Sonia Williams reported that she had been abducted and sexually assaulted, and an arrest was made in that. Timothy Iannone was arrested.
The incident between him and the prostitute was August 25th, and I want to say she contacted me like September 7th, and here again, looking at the interview that Detective Moore did with Iannone and looking at the case facts, I just found a lot of things similar. The fact that he was a cab driver, and I knew that Allison had left the pub that night of her disappearance with a cab driver. Just things started falling together.
But where he parked that van, the fourth time he came on the property that I saw that day.
He came on 4 times.
Four times, from 1:30 in the afternoon till 4 o'clock. Then he came back at 20 to 11 and quarter after 11.
Based on the type of incident that occurred and the specifically the location where the incident occurred, it kind of sparked, an idea.
He was back here 15 or 20 minutes at quarter after 11.
Yeah.
And I stood there and watched him because the party wasn't leaving yet.
Yeah.
And when he got back in the van, the interior light came on.
Yeah.
I got perfect profile.
Yeah.
Okay, they had me to go sit with the sketch artist. We did the sketch.
How long did that? In an affidavit requesting a search warrant, detectives say the sketch resembles Iannone.
Based on those facts and the fact that a witness observed a Port City taxi behind Pirate's Table, which is also in the search warrant, on several occasions with a driver fitting the description of Mr. Iannone, a composite sketch was made which also resembles Mr. Iannone. I typed up a couple search warrants for 2 different residences that one he lived in and one that he had recently moved out of.
What developed after that was a string of follow-ups. Everybody had their job to do, and one was to either make him a better suspect not make him, but find out the information that would help develop him as a better suspect or eliminate him as a suspect.
We had 2 separate teams hit those houses and look for any forensic or physical evidence. Several items are actually at the lab, the SBI lab right now, being tested. It's a painstaking process that often takes months upon months. But at this point, I can tell you that those items are currently being examined by forensic DNA specialists.
The preponderance of circumstantial evidence is huge. I mean, if you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, they're starting to fit. Now, with exclusion of testimony, confession, video, in essence, the smoking gun, I don't know that you're going to get any of that when you're dealing with what I believe to be a serial rapist and serial killer.
I went to the police 5 different occasions on my own time, and they ruled me not credible.
The gentleman who observed the cab behind the business on several occasions, as well as, provided the information to the sketch artist that was necessary to do the sketch. The information he gave us, I have no reason to believe that it's not accurate. There's some questions among some people here is reference to exactly what his motivations may be. We're still evaluating the entire statement.
I think if you ask WPD again, they wouldn't be so fast to say that he's cleared.
Mr. Iannone is still a strong suspect involved in this case.
No, I'm thoroughly not convinced that it's not him. I have to believe that until somebody can prove otherwise, that he's at the top of my list.
At this point, I can honestly say he is not the only suspect in this case.
There's a chance that Iannone is not the person responsible for Allison Foy and Angela Rothen's death. There is a chance.
Obviously, this murder, it doesn't get much more serious. Very important to the police department and the community to bring this person to justice.
First and foremost, her children were her life, and she was a loving, really great mom. She was great with kids. That's why she coached gymnastics and taught dance. And one of the things that strikes me is every time I talk to somebody, whether they knew her real well or they were just an acquaintance of hers or people who never knew her or have read about her story or seen her picture in the paper, the one thing that they have all said to me is that they all felt like they knew her. And that Allison just had that way about her.